Chapter 4, Section 5, Supplications and their utility. Nevertheless, after this, thou passest over to another classification of gods as contrasted with daemons. For thou remarkest that gods are pure mental essences, proposing the opinion as the basis of an argument, or telling it as acceptable to certain individuals. Then thou addest that the daemons are psychic beings, participating of mind. It is not hidden from me that these notions are entertained by many of the Grecian philosophers. Nevertheless, I do not think it proper to hide from thee the manifest truth, for all opinions of such a character are somewhat confusing. They carry the attention from daemons to souls, for these are also partakers of mind, and they wander from the gods to mind that is non-material in respect to operation which the gods excel in every particular. Why then should we attribute these peculiarities to them, which are by no means exclusively theirs? This much will be sufficient in regard to this classification. Otherwise, so far as it may be thought worthy of a mention of such a kind, it is overmuch. But in regard to the matters of which thou art in doubt, they should have due attention inasmuch as they have to do with the sacerdotal function. Footnote 21. Thales, Pythagoras, Plato, and the Stoics generally held that the daemons were beings of a psychic rather than of an actual divine nature. Plutarch ascribed to them only a limited term of existence. Having further affirmed that pure mental essences are not to be charmed or mingled with things of sense, thou doubtest whether it is necessary to pray to them. On my part, I do not think it necessary to pray to any others, for that something in us that is divine, mental essence and one, or mental alone, if you choose to call it so, is then vividly aroused in the prayers, and when it is awakened, it longs vehemently for its counterpart, and becomes united to the absolute perfection. If, however, it appears incredible to thee that an incorporeal being hears a voice in any way, and there is need of a special sense and of ears in order that the things uttered by us in the prayers may be heard, thou art voluntarily forgetful of the superior powers of the primary cause, both in the perceiving of all things and the encompassing of them at once in themselves. The gods certainly do not receive the prayers in themselves through faculties of sense, or through organs, but they encompass in themselves the full purport and energies of the pious utterances, and especially of those which happen through the sacred rites to have been established and brought into one with the gods. For then the divine essence itself is simply present to itself, and does not share the conceptions in the prayers as distinct from itself. But thou affirmest that the supplications which are offered are entirely foreign to the purity of mental substances. Not at all, for it is on this very account, because we are excelled by the gods in power, purity, and everything, that it is most opportune to supplicate them even with exaggeration of speech. If we are judged by being compared to the gods, the consciousness of our own nothingness causes us to betake ourselves to supplication, and we are led from supplication to the object of supplication, and from the familiar intercourse we acquire a similarity to it, and from the imperfection we quietly receive the divine perfection. Footnote 22. It may be observed in this treatise that the divine personalities are very commonly indicated by terms in the neuter gender. The same is true in other instances. Mr. Ralph Waldo Emerson was once in conversation with the Reverend Cyrus Bartol, the Transcendentalist clergyman of Boston. The latter mentioned the Supreme Being, using the masculine pronoun. Quote, "Why not say it?" Mr. Emerson asked. Footnote 23. Whatever we keep most closely in thought, whether with favor or aversion, we gradually become like in character. Paul wrote like a philosopher to the Corinthian disciples. After referring to Moses with a veil, he adds, "We all with face unveiled, looking on the glory of the Lord as in a mirror, are transformed from glory to glory into the same image from his Spirit." If, however, it is conceived that the sacerdotal supplications are inspired into human beings as from the gods themselves, that they are symbols or tokens of the very gods, and are recognized by the gods alone, and have likewise, after a certain manner, the same power with the gods, how may it be justly supposed that supplication of this kind is still a matter of the physical senses, but not divine and of the higher intelligence? Or what may in any likelihood insinuate itself into it when the most excellent human morals cannot be easily made pure? Footnote 24. In the theurgic discipline of neophytes, there were several stages to be surmounted before arriving at the degree denominated perfection or purity. We may trace them in the chapter as follows. 1. The coming to the divinity who is supplicated. 2. The assimilation into the likeness of the divinity. And 3. Perfection. In the first of these degrees, the candidate was styled most excellent, in the second divine, and in the third, Theopator, as now being fully identified with deity itself. But, it is remarked by thee, the things that are offered as to sensitive and psychic natures. If indeed they consisted of corporeal and composite powers alone, or of such as pertained merely to the service of the physical organism, thou wouldst be correct. But, since the offerings partake also of incorporeal ideals, special discourses, and simpler meters, the peculiar affinity of the offerings is to be considered from this point alone. And if any kindred relationship, near or far away, or in any resemblance is present, is sufficient for the union about which we are now discoursing. For there is not anything which is in the least degree akin to the gods, with which the gods are not immediately present and conjoined. It is not then as to sensitive or psychic, but actually to divine ideals and to the gods themselves that the intimate union is effected so far as may be. Hence, we have spoken sufficiently in opposition to this classification.